morning, and welcome to Levels and Meds on the Bridge 99 FM. With me, your host, Jeffrey Azan. Remember, you can tune in to the Bridge 99 FM on the entire 99 FM bandwidth. That means point 1, point 3, point 5, point 7, and point 9. You can also see what's happening in studio by checking out our live stream on the website www.thebridge99fm.com, or if you're on the move, don't get that ticket, but you can download our mobile app in the Android Play Store or Apple App Store by simply searching The Bridge 99 FM, all one word. Today's topic, we're going to be looking at dating and relationships. We're in February. It's the month of love. It's the month of relationships. It's the month of proposing. I mean, there's a lot of other things as well in February. It's reggae month. We had Dennis Brown's birthday, which there was a phenomenal episode of Musically Speaking where they were looking at the life and music of Dennis Brown. So you definitely want to head over to the Bridge's YouTube channel where we drop all of our interviews and actually watch that phenomenal special episode on the life and music of Dennis Brown. February also celebrates the birthday of Bob Marley. I already said reggae month, but music and reggae is not our theme for today. It is all about the relationships. A lot of people tune into Levels and Meds to learn the tips and tricks to successful living, to see how they can develop themselves, develop their business, carry themselves to that next level in life. And I'm here to tell you folks, one of the keys to that next level of life is who you choose to go on the journey with. This life is not meant to be done alone. This life is not meant to be a solo journey. It's not something that is just for you. It is here to be shared. It's one of those things that I believe it was Robin Williams that said, in trying to figure out our value in this life, if I made just a few people happier than they would have been without me, then my life was worth living. And it's a big testament to the fact that we are here with others. A big part of what we do is in the service of others, and it's a part of what we're going to leave for others, which is all about this concept of relationships. Now, as young men and women, the most important relationship to many of us is going to be that intimate relationship. Who are we choosing as our partner in life? Who are we choosing on that journey? And we go through a number of phases. These days you talk to people, are you in a relationship? No, we're just seeing each other. You in a relationship? No, we're just dating. We in a relationship? No, but I'm a bona fide. It's as if everybody, especially of a younger generation, is running away from the concept of actually being in a relationship. And we're going to be talking with a couple today, so not one, but we're going to have two guests, and they are both in the same industry. They started in the same building, in the same branch. They both excel in the same career. One is now in management, one is still working the field, but together as a couple, they launched a program called Totally Thorpe, where they explore marriage and money. Now, as I don't think you guys understand how important those two things are when they go together. As my grandfather used to say, when money go through the window, love go through the door. So it's very important that if you're going to be talking marriage, you need to be watching the money, you need to be on that journey, on that development stage together, and really building. This is we're talking next level living, we're talking next level thinking. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about choosing that person who's going to help you build an empire. But before we bring on our phenomenal guests this morning, I want us to just talk a little bit about relationships, explore the concept of relationships, the dynamic of relationships. Now, there's several schools of thought when it comes on to relationships. However, I have kind of put together my own little list in terms of how do we build great relationships. And if we're looking at an intimate relationship, a family relationship, a work relationship, the first relationship that we really need to work on, that we need to think about critically, is what's our relationship, and this is not a religious call, but what's our relationship with our angels and our demons? I know it might seem a little off kilter, but just hear me out. In life, there's a lot of things that we inherit from our family, both good, both bad. some of those things begin to manifest themselves as our character traits. And some of those traits are naturally positive, and some of them are naturally negative. These character traits I like to classify as our angels and our demons. Those things in life that we do naturally that are going to elevate us, and those things in life that we're going to drag us down. So the first relationship you have to work on is the one with your angels and demons. You need to strengthen the relationship with your angels and minimize the relationship with your demons. That's step one. After you work on that unconscious portion, then you need to build that relationship with the conscious portion, that relationship with yourself. Studies have shown that the voice you hear the most is the one inside your head. Now, if you think about it, how you speak to a good friend is often positive, encouraging, uplifting, motivating, and yet most of us don't speak to ourselves that way. In fact, if we heard someone speak to our best friend the way our voice in our head speaks to us most of the time, we'd be ready to fight. We'd say, you could have never talked to my friend like that. We'll be ready to throw hands. So we have to watch what's that relationship with ourselves. How are we treating ourselves? How are we investing in ourselves? How are we talking to ourselves and building that relationship with ourselves? Once we've established those two levels of relationship, that angels and demons and a relationship with yourself, then we can now begin to work with others. We can have a relationship with family, those people who influence our life, who have high impact in our decision making and the type of lifestyle we choose to live. We can move on from the family to what we're going to be talking about today, which is the partner, that person that we're choosing to go on the long journey with. When we have our family and our partner, now we can begin to really assess the relationships with our friends, those people who are going to support or challenge you, push you to that next level. Once we've gotten our friend circle solid, then we can begin taking on the outward pressures in life. It could be co-workers, it could be society in general, or just strangers that we encounter on a day-to-day basis. So these circles of relationships are ever expanding, they involve everyone, and we're going to cross paths with everyone at every level at some point along the way. So when we're talking relationships, it's not just about, oh, this is my friend, oh, this is my partner. But everyone plays a particular role in how we develop and how we interact with the others. So when we're talking about this whole concept of relationships, guys, get in your head, it's bigger. It is bigger than just, oh, this is my partner, this is my husband, this is my wife. They are going to influence your life, they are going to fuel you, they are going to uplift you, they are going to challenge you to phenomenal levels and raise your standard. We say levels and meds, next level living, next level thinking. Your partner, your relationships are going to be the biggest influencing factor in that next level living and thinking. Now that we've gone through this whole spectrum of relationships, and I hope you made your notes so you know which relationship you need to work on, let's explore this concept of the dating and relationship. The first thing is communication. And we're going to be talking a lot about that with our guest today. How do we communicate with each other? And the biggest element, once we get through that dating stage, is the communication of love languages. Now, this is a expression, a term thrown around by everyone these days, but it's critical because everybody receives and expresses an act of love differently. You guys, Valentine's Day is around the corner. You buy your girl chocolate and you buy her roses and you buy her the gift and the bracelet and all of the niceties, but her love language isn't gifts. And then when you're not when you don't feel that reciprocation of love, you say, but I've done so much. Guess what? It's as if you're speaking in Chinese to someone that only understands English. You said I love you, but they heard gibberish. The same goes for if physical touch or quality time are their love languages. It doesn't make sense that, oh, I'm in the room, they want you to hold their hand. It doesn't make sense that you say I love you, they want a hug. It doesn't make sense that you're even present if quality time is it, but you're on your phone, because quality time is about the intimacy of the time. You also have words of affirmation. People need to hear it. Men, I almost want to say universally, every man appreciates being appreciated. And a lot of women, at least in the circles I've spoken to, they don't really understand that level. Sometimes you just need to tell a man thank you, because most men are willing to do just about anything for the people that they love. But we lose the drive to do it if we feel that the thing we do is never appreciated. There is no benefit to it. There is no growth from it. There is no enhancing it if we don't feel appreciated. So words of affirmation, a big, big, big one. And of course, there is the element of, it's escaping me. I can't believe that. It ran away from my brain. So we went through gifts, we went through time, we went through physical touch, we went through words of affirmation, and I don't want to leave you guys hanging, there's a fifth one. There is a fifth one. I'm going to come back to it. Acts of service. There we go. There we go. Big up my producer in the building, remembering all our love languages. Acts of service. You know what it is? I sometimes view acts of service as my natural. I know acts of service is my way of showing love. So I never really think about it as a love language. It's just what I do. So folks, there you have it. We got 5 love languages. We got about 8 relationship circles. We got the concept of dating. We have the value and the need of having strong relationships towards success. And we're going to be building on all of that as we talk to our guest today, Mr. Alwyn Thorpe and Mrs. Crystal Thorpe on on the topic of the logistics of dating and relationships. All right, so don't go anywhere. We're going to take a quick commercial break, pay some bills, and when we come back, we're going to be talking to them about how did they go into building Totally Thorpe, money, and marriage. And we're back at Levels and Meds here on the Bridge 99 FM with me, your host, Jeffrey Azan. Folks, we're talking about the logistics of dating and relationships, and in studio with us are Alwyn and Crystal Thorpe, the hosts of Totally Thorpe, the hit YouTube series where they discuss all things money and marriage. Before we get into our conversation with our hosts, I just want to let you guys know we had reached out to the Bridge Nation and we are asking, would you be comfortable working and living in the same space as your spouse? And I'm here to tell you, we got a resounding no from like 90% of the Bridge Nation. However, there was one response that gave me a lot of hope. And the person said, I ended up working with my partner for almost 2 years. And that's how I knew he was the one. So sometimes there is hope to be found in working and living in the same space. And guess what? Our guests today are coming from just that sort of environment. Bridge Nation, Jamaica, and the world, please help me to welcome to the stage of the Bridge 99, Alwyn and Crystal Thorpe, the hosts of Totally Thorpe. Good morning, Crystal. Good morning, Alwyn.
Morning, Jeffrey.
Morning, guys.
How are you guys? Happy to be here? Excited?
Very happy to be here.
Yeah, we're happy to be here.
All right. Excited to have you. Excited to have you.
Yeah, man.
I want us to start on that idea, right? You guys are coming from the industry. You guys are both in the insurance industry. You both got in as financial advisors. You're working in the same company. And yet here we are several years later. Mm-hmm. And you guys are married. You're both still in the insurance industry.
Yeah.
And you're building together, you're going into business together, there's a lot happening together. How do you feel about that resounding no from the people where they're like, listen, that's not for me, I don't believe that I should work and live and all of that in the same space?
I used to be her.
Yeah, tell us, Alwyn.
Well, it's a long time I see this pretty girl I want her.
Uh-huh.
So I've been approaching her from the first day I saw her.
Right.
And, she's always arm's length, a little bit more than arm's length, but we've been friends.
Okay.
And I think it was us getting out of the country for an industry conference, away from everybody that we know, that made her accept a date.
Yeah, it gave me the confidence to say, you know what, not in the normal environment. So let us just try this. And for me, it was really just going for the food. You know, he's paying. I'm like, let's go. I'm ready. Let's go. And
Me
we're
no
friends
vex.
and
To get
everything. But
catch.
yeah, he literally had a plan, a whole plan, and said, yeah, man, once you get said yes, I'm going to put everything on the table.
So
I'm
he
going to
got-
tell her exactly what I want.
So he
And
got
that's what he did.
He got upgraded in the phone from food to Alwyn.
Oh boy. Well, not from food, but from friends. Because
From
we
friend.
were always friends.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So let's speak to that. Is that where it all starts? You know, this concept of dating. Do I have to be friends with the person I'm dating first? Is that the recommended approach?
Definitely.
I feel like that's a very good foundation
Mm-hmm.
because over time when you're in a relationship, if there's no friendship, it's like what else is there? I mean,
Right.
there's so much. You can just have a lot of romantic gestures, a lot of romance, all of that happening in the relationship. But when all of that kind of, it's not to say die out, but
Right.
you'll have it where it's just, okay, simmers out.
Right,
What
right.
is left?
The excitement, with the excitement.
Right, what is left? You need that friendship, you need that companionship, you need that person that you can just be vulnerable with and build with. And only a friend you can do that with.
So, Alwyn, to you, right? A lot of guys aren't going to date women who they thought were their friend out of the fear of, boy, you know, if we try this and it mash up, it also going to mash up the friendship. How do we approach and deal with that?
I wanted her as my woman more than I wanted her as a friend. I think that made a big difference. The friendship definitely made that process far easier. But
That is true.
yeah, as in, I've been in those situations before where, you know, the friendship is more important than any intimacy and any possibility of intimacy. But with Crystal, I really want her.
Right, and I think that angle, you know, it worked for me because I was so comfortable with him.
Right.
I was able to just be myself with him. There was just any flaws I had, he could see it.
Gotcha.
Because I never had to hide who I am with him. And that allowed me to just be vulnerable with him in everything. I was like, I fall in love and I don't even realize it.
The
It's like,
bugger, yeah.
who is this
Fall
guy?
in
You know,
love and you didn't
you didn't
even
even realize
realize
it
it.
because you were so into this person. You're like, oh my God, just things are just moving so easy. And it made it so much easier because we were friends.
Yeah.
Got you. So, Levels and Medz is about giving people the steps. So, as I would almost say authority. No, you guys are authorities. You're doing the research, you're putting in the work, you're exploring the field, you're elevating yourself to experts in the field on marriage and money. Is that the first step to really choosing a good lifelong partner? Is making sure that that you can be friends?
That you can be friends. Definitely.
Yeah,
that you
that's
can be
that's
friends.
one factor. That's definitely one foundational factor.
Okay.
But trust, respect, communication.
Right.
You have to be able to talk to this person.
Right.
As I said, be vulnerable.
Right.
Because a lot of times we hide who we are and go into the relationship, and that is why it don't work. Because eventually that person will show. And then what if he doesn't like that person? 5 years down the line, you're not able to show who you are, and then that's when you're showing who you are. The relationship won't work.
And the funny part about that is that all those things that you mentioned are actual components of a real friendship.
Right.
So real friends communicate, real friends trust each other. You know, real friends are like that.
And
Right.
respect.
Yeah, and
respect each other,
real friends
right.
respect each other.
Yeah.
Because as my brethren, I can look on you and say, yo, stop that foolishness. That's
Right.
foolishness.
Right.
You should stop that. I can look at her and say, yo, cut that out. And she
Yeah.
can look at me and say, no.
Folks, I wish I could have tell you the look on Alwyn's face a while ago, because he nearly said something else and buck shuffle like clean up the language. It's like you remember that we're on radio a while ago. But no, you guys make an excellent point, and I think we definitely need to recognize that there's a big difference between, we throw around this word friend because we're in the same workspace, or we're from the same community, or we're in the same club, so this
Yeah.
must be my friend because we spend a lot of time together. But just because we spend a lot of time together does not automatically qualify somebody to be a friend.
Definitely.
It takes
Exactly.
all those other elements as well.
Exactly.
Really, do I trust this person? Do I respect this person? Can I communicate with this person? And of course, vice versa. Can they give it back to me?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So definitely one of the key building blocks to finding that lifelong partner is this concept of friendship.
True
Correct.
friendship.
Yeah.
All right, love that.
Yes.
Now, you guys touched on an interesting topic, which I think is also very crucial to building a relationship, which is this idea of vulnerability. Now, I want to the audience to really understand where that's coming from, because you guys are in the insurance industry, and to the outside person, there's not a lot of room for vulnerability in the insurance industry. You know, you always have to be on your professional P's and Q's, because you never know who you're going to run into. You are representing major entities across Jamaica.
Right.
You are dealing with people's finances. You know, right away, the second money comes into it, there's a certain level of professionalism.
Right.
How do you separate that professional safeguard from that self that needs to be vulnerable to have the relationship? How do I take down that guard? Because all my life I've been told to be professional, to be of a particular standard, and then worse, in some people's cases, they put on a show to attract the person.
Exactly.
Well, how do I go about becoming vulnerable, taking down that shield?
For me, it's just being yourself. I mean, yes, I'm professional when I'm working, but I am myself. I'm not trying to put on a facade. If you're my client, you know Alwyn is Alwyn.
Right.
And I'm myself around my wife. Yeah, I'm not going to be when I say my freer self. I'm more composed around my clients and around my other coworkers, and I'm far freer around my wife. It's just like any other thing. How are you here with your coworkers versus how are you with your brethren?
Right.
You know, how are you with your friend? How are you with your spouse? It's very it's two completely different worlds.
Right.
But I think that being yourself makes it that much easier.
Right. And we try to keep work at work and home at home.
Yeah.
So with our boundaries.
Let's get into that, boundaries.
We have to do boundaries. There has to be some kind of boundaries. So it can't be that when he comes home is work. No,
Right.
this is my time.
But that's the number one question.
That's
you
my
come home, that's the
time.
number one question. How was your day at work?
And because we're in the same industry. So
Yeah.
sometimes it works good for us, because sometimes I can say, babe, with this situation, how do you think I can manage this? So it actually, I find that for us, it works very good, because I'll bounce things from him and he will give me his advice, and vice versa. So I find that in the workspace, it helps. However, then there are times to just shut down work. And then there's time for Crystal and Alwyn, just Crystal and Alwyn, husband and wife, Crystal.
Nothing about
Yeah, just
Come
husband
up
and
when I
wife,
want
Crystal.
it.
And that's it. So we put boundaries in place.
And vice versa.
And
Right.
yeah.
If me and she have an argument in the morning,
Right.
and I head out, I can't go in front of my team and bring that same energy.
Exactly.
Right.
So leave work at work and leave home at home.
Right. So is it strict? Is it like 7 o'clock? That's the end of our work day?
no.
Like
No, not really.
No,
no.
no, no.
I mean, I think based on how we have been operating, I feel like it's just
Yeah,
innate. Like we just know when it's time to shut off work.
Right.
Yeah.
So we
right.
come home. He enters the door. I want to hug him. I just want to, oh babe, how was your day?
Right.
And just relax with him. So
Right.
it's not about like we have to try to say, okay, definitely. It's just like because you've been around the person, over time it just becomes a nice flow.
Got
it just
you.
flows into.
Got you. Got you.
Time.
So time flies when you're having fun. We soon cut to a commercial break, but before we go, you guys are Totally Thorpe on YouTube, and
Yeah.
you focus on money and marriage.
Yeah.
What's on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is understanding one to master the other?
They're two different arts.
Very two hard topics.
But they're two completely different
yeah.
topics and two hard topics. When you merge them, they're even harder.
Right.
Yeah.
Money in marriage is extremely hard. But when it comes to a marriage, money is actually very important in that, because love is not enough.
Right.
And we actually have a video called Love is Not Enough. You can go check that out.
Okay.
Yeah. So love is not enough. There are other things that are important to each person. Things that are important to my wife, sometimes I don't care about. And vice versa.
Right.
Things that get me excited don't get her excited. But then a lot of stuff we do have in common. But as far as the money aspect goes, as an individual, you need to get it in check.
And one thing to note, babe, I want to add that before you move from that point, that we have done our research and I realized that actually money is one of the number one reasons persons get divorced. It is the number one reasons persons get divorced.
Yeah.
So what you have to understand, if this is a number one thing that's going to cause my divorce, I need to know how to work it so that it works for my benefit and the benefit of the marriage. So in order for you to go forward and make this thing work, understand what is the number one thing that may cause us to fall.
Yeah.
So as my grandfather said, when money goes through the window, love goes through the door.
Exactly.
Folks, we're going to take a quick commercial break and come right back as we explore the logistics of dating and relationships here on Azan Medz, right here on the Bridge 99 FM. And we're back to Levels and Meds here on the Bridge 99 FM. Remember, you can pick up the 99 FM bandwidth all the way 0.1, 0.3, 0.5, 0.7, 0.9. Or you can check us out online on the stream, the Bridge 99 FM. Or, of course, you can check out our mobile app in the Android Play Store or Apple App Store by just searching the Bridge 99 FM. All one word. And remember, this is not just a lecture, it's a conversation. We want to hear from you, so you can hit us up on the Bridge WhatsApp line 876-551-5782, or you can call in the studio line 876-676-4996. Today we're talking about logistics of dating and relationships, and with us are relationship experts, Alwyn and Crystal Thorpe, hosts of Totally Thorpe, the YouTube sensation, as they discuss money and marriage. Now, we've been talking about what are some of the key components of a relationship, and some of those key elements are definitely making sure you have you are real friends. You're not just acquaintances, you're not just comfort, but you are real friends. We're also exploring that you have to be vulnerable. You have to be able to establish that level of vulnerability, let that person into your real self, take off the mask, stop the show. But in taking off the mask, in being vulnerable, there also has to be boundaries. For them, they're saying that, it's more intuitive at this point. I know some researchers say, set a hard timeline, set a date night, set a cutoff time, set a work start time, and adhere to those as best as possible. And the last thing we said before cutting to the commercial break was really how important is money in marriage. And basically, we're saying this at 10, guys. We're going with that, sage advice from my grandfather. And I'm going to say it again. That's one thing for today, is that when money goes through the window, love goes through the door. Now, I want to dive into what I think is the most important topic when talking about relationships. And that is the concept of vision. At one point, I was talking to a friend and we were talking about building a business partnership, and he said this one line that I've never forgotten. He said, Jeffrey, anything with two visions must lead to division. So I want to know, how do you guys work on that vision together? Is it that, Crystal, you were going somewhere and Alwyn, you were going somewhere, and then you realized it was the same place? Or have you had to work on building a new unified vision of somewhere that you both want to go together?
We wanted the same things. We wanted the same things from day one. And all we did was kind of just come together, work together, speak about them, and realize that, hey, at the end of the day, we're going to the same location. We may not have the middle figured out, or how to get there, but we know where we want to go. And then after a while, sometimes you think, like, my brain just goes even further. And then it takes her brain a little time to catch up to that, because sometimes I think too far out, so she kind of reel me back in.
Right.
But we always try to remember what it is that our vision is and what we want for this relationship. And if one person kind of veering off, we kind of say, hey, that's not what we're trying to accomplish here. Yeah.
So it's more about, for you guys, it's more about course correction than it is about saying, okay, this is a roadmap and we'll walk in the roadmap. Is that what you're saying?
A bit of both.
Because the reality is that you may start off by we have the main vision, yes. However, as we go along, there are certain things that come into play, right? He would come with something that we didn't start it out with, and that's fine because that's all into growth, and that's all into, you know, changes happen. So we started out as just financial advisors. He's a manager and stuff like that, but then his vision got bigger, and when it got bigger, I had to level up with him. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So you found that he stretched you.
Yes, definitely. He's the visionary in the relationship. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
He is. And I had to remember going to counseling, and I told my counselor, why he always have so much plans? Like, he always have an idea. He always have something cooking,
trust me.
right? And I was like, let us just stick to one at a time, because I'm not there as far as him.
Right.
So she had to say, here's what, Crystal, this will always be him. This is him, right? What you can do is you can tame him down a little. Say, okay, which one is most important to you right now? And this is the one that and you support him in that. So being a visionary, he'll always have ideas, he'll always have plans. And I love that, because a man, you need to be leading. If you don't have a vision, the world perish. I mean, that's what it is. So a vision is important.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here. A man, you need to be leading.
You
in
need to
some way,
have
shape,
a
or
vision.
form.
You need to have a vision. And so a lot of times I'm the one that, you know, we'll pray together, because we're Christians. We pray together. We seek guidance with some vision, some things that will drop in his idea, come in his mind. If both of us aren't on the same page, it's going to be put aside until both of us get on the same page.
Yeah,
He just can't come with a vision and say, okay, this is what's going to happen. And then I'd be like, babe, I'm not there. I don't think that's a good idea.
That's a rule
right?
for me.
That's a rule for us in the relationship, literally. Like,
If I bring up something and she not up on it, we're not do it.
So hold on, stick a pin now.
Yeah.
Rules in the relationship. Talk to us about that. Give us some ideas, if you're so open. What are some of these rules of the relationship? So you said the first one is you can have a vision, but even though you have a vision, if everybody's not on board with it, we're not running with it.
No, we're not going to run with it.
Rule is vision come, it gets shelved until everybody's on board with it.
100%.
All right. What are some other rules to building that good relationship?
One other thing that we found ourselves doing when we would have arguments, especially earlier in the relationship, you know, you vex and you say, you cuss and say divorce, right? We made a pact that we cannot use the word divorce in any arguments at all.
We have a few arguments
So
here.
we have argument rules. Certain things we cannot say, no matter how crazy it gets, no matter how mad you get, how angry you get. Do not say these things.
Yeah,
because you can't come back.
So it's not like you guys have a full playbook. Cause there are argument rules.
Trust me, we break rules all the time. But
we break the rules. Don't get
we
it
break
wrong.
rules all the time, but we try to come back to the guidelines.
Right,
Exactly.
right, right.
Exactly.
Our counselor actually recommended that.
Okay.
And recommended some words not to use, like always. Like, you're always doing this, you're always doing that. That's, you know.
It's bringing down the person.
Right.
So we try not to use the word always or every time.
Okay.
We don't bring up the word divorce. We don't say the words like, I don't want to be in a marriage like
this.
Yeah.
Or
And then we say we don't leave the house without letting the other one know where we're going. So even though even if we're vexed, if we know where
like
we're
just listen, now go down the bar.
Exactly. You can't just disappear from the house and I
Right,
don't know
right,
going. You
right.
are.
Got you.
Right.
And as I said, we've broken the rules a few times, but
and we have
You
to
always
come back to it.
You come back to it. You get
'cause
your
we're
yellow
human.
card and the match and then come back.
Yeah, man.
That's very interesting. So it's not just about this idea of agreement, and as you already said, love isn't enough. We have to do more than just love. But this concept of rules, and I guess if I'm going to pull from what you've shared, is that I need to come up with my own rules in my own relationship.
Exactly.
Because your rules
Exactly.
may not work for me.
Exactly.
And vice versa. It may not even work for my partner. So it's really about establishing your own rules in the relationship.
Together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So question, how do these rules play out now in terms of money? All right, I want to come to this as like the big topic before we go to our next break. What are the rules of money in the marriage, in the relationship?
She's stronger with money than I am.
Yes, I am, because I found out that we're kind of on the opposite.
Okay.
I am the extreme
You're the miser.
saver. No, I'm not a miser. I'm not a miser.
Okay.
But I like to have fun, but it has to be at a place before we have the fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? So there are rules.
You only can spend the excess.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly. So I'm more on that spectrum, and he's more he will spend on nice things. He really likes nice things. Nicer things in life, right?
Right.
So we had to come
Because he has visions.
Exactly. And he's like, yeah, man, we'll be able to, we're going to be billionaires.
That's right.
Like,
Speak
that's
it
him.
into being.
So we had to come together and have rules. And as again, some rules to say, okay. And again, our counselor taught us this. She said to me, Crystal, you can't change who he is. He likes nicer things. He likes to spend, and he likes to spend on more expensive things. For me, if I see a watch and it tells the time, and it's say 10 grand, I'm good with it.
Yeah.
For him, no, he wants the most expensive one that is telling the time.
Right.
That's just him.
Right.
And she's like, you cannot change him. This is who he is. Stop trying to control who he is or who he needs to be. Right? And I had to step back and say, okay, how can I meet him in the middle? And how can he meet me in the middle?
Right.
And so what we do now, I think that he cannot spend a certain amount of money without consulting me, and vice versa. So I can't go out and do any big purchases over a certain amount, and that amount can be any amount for any relationship. Right? So he cannot do that, I cannot do that.
Right.
And if that amount is going to be spent, we need a meeting before that money is spent.
And by the way, it's not what I did not meet her halfway. We're
Right.
further than halfway with her. Because I remember, and I would recommend this to any guy. So women have this innate thing to be comfortable, and if you take them out of that comfort zone, it's hell. And
I mean, it's always said women seek security.
exactly.
Correct.
So
Yes.
for her, I tried to find out how much was secure for her. And when she gave me that figure, I'm like, all right, when we get to that figure, leave me alone. So,
And that's a compromise.
yeah.
Right.
Okay. Is there a number one rule? Is there an overarching, like, this are the like non-negotiable? I hear that you break some rules and all of that, and of course we're not talking about the obvious things, not don't cheat, and like those are the obvious. But is there a number one personal rule that, say, a younger Crystal, a younger Alwyn, they're just getting into dating, they're thinking about marriage, and they come to you and they're like, hey, like, what's that thing I need to keep in the front of mind at all times? Is there a number one rule like that?
For me, it's always having the conversation, no matter how hard it is to have it, no matter what.
Yeah.
At the end of it, we need to come together and have a conversation. And I can tell you, it's sometimes, have the conversation, because the topics they can be sensitive. It can be the money situation. It can be the money topic. And it's so funny because money is always our heated topic when we're talking about money. But we always come together and we agree on what we're doing moving forward.
Right.
For another person, it may be intercourse. It may be what someone wants versus what someone does not want in intercourse. It may be your job situation. She might not feel as secure as she would want to feel because of something that's going on with you. It might be your relationship with your parents. It might be children. It's a whole heap of stuff. So at the end of the day, you just need to have that conversation, hard conversation.
Yes, and be truthful. Like, no matter what, he said it. Like, once you're starting to build a relationship, just be truthful. Like, it cannot go anywhere if you're just so dishonest. It will catch up with you.
There you go. Folks, the logistics of dating and relationships with Alwyn and Crystal Thorpe, hosts of Totally Thorpe, here on YouTube. And I'm getting a signal from my engineer. They just want to hear more. They want to talk to the people more. They want more value. And I think our guests today are all about that as well.
Yeah.
All right, fantastic. So, following the guide of my engineer and producer, I want us to really look into this idea. So you say, all right, we have to set rules. You guys have your rules about money. You have your rules about arguments. You have your rules about date night. Right? Yeah. I mean, big recommendation to most people. Make sure you schedule and keep your date night.
Definitely.
All right. Make time for yourself. Now, in this pursuit of that real money, that growth, how do you manage, I want to say, achieving the financial target together? Or more accurately, because we're really talking about success and everybody defines success differently, I don't want to limit it to just money. How does choosing your partner enhance you?
You go first.
Okay, you had mentioned something about how do we plan, right?
Right.
For us, we realize that we must plan. And when I say plan, we must marry our ideas, right? So at the start of the year, we do what we call a retreat, a couples retreat.
At the start of the year.
At the start of the year. We do a couples retreat. One of our retreat we had down by Lashings, we just go away 2-3 days, lock away. We have our books and everything, and those days are strictly for planning. Planning for the year. Right. Planning for the year. So what that does is that, Jeffrey, we look at financial, we look at spiritual, we look at family, we look at vacation, we look at health, we look at so many different areas of our life. So it's not just about money or just financials. We look at every single area that we want to achieve, or success, as you mentioned. Success to everybody is different. So for me, success in my health, I want to lose 5 pounds or something, or I want to gain 5 pounds. For Alwyn, if he says, I want to lose X amount, I want to start eating healthier, so that's a goal. And that we put that together from the start of the year, so we will hold each other accountable going on for the rest of the year. So planning is important.
An extraction from that as well. So one major way that choosing your right person is helping you to build out the right plan.
You have to build out the plan.
But you added another word towards the end that I really appreciate, is that other person also becomes your accountability partner.
Yeah. Exactly.
Keeping you to the plan.
Definitely.
Keeping you to the plan. And we revise the plan every 3 months. You go back and say, are we on track?
Right.
Every month, really.
Yeah, we should be doing it every month.
We have a meeting every month after payday.
The best time.
After payday, to plan out how we're going to pay the bills and what we're going to do with this money and what we can manage to do.
All right. So
planning is important, and marrying your goals together, ensuring that your goal over here, my goal over here, we try to bring them together, and then we just strictly ahead.
And the thing is that marriage is two completely different individuals coming together as one.
Right.
So if the two individuals don't mix, it's problems.
Right.
If it's oil and water, it's problems. It needs to come together and mix. So some of my ideas, some of her ideas, we have to be open to each other and hearing each other out. It can't be hard and fast. Say, this is me. I'm going to be this. I don't care what you want to. That's not going to work.
Right.
You guys have to come together, figure out what works for you both.
Right.
Not works for what works for me alone, and what works for her alone. What works for us
marriage,
both. What works for the marriage.
Right.
So, for example, we focused a lot on our marriage versus the wedding when we were getting married. So we focused heavily on the marriage and invested heavily in the marriage, because the wedding is just a day, literally just a day.
Just a few hours.
Yeah, exactly, just a few hours.
Exactly.
So people are going to come and say, oh, hey, nice.
You look so pretty, you look so nice, this was so much fun.
That's going to last a couple of days of people talking, and then, but guess what? I have to live with you for the rest of my life.
Right.
So counseling, number one. I'll tell anybody looking into getting marry, and congrats on the air. I'm gonna say it. So one thing I would say is that counseling, very important. It's one of my number one advice I would give anybody deciding to get married.
Yeah, definitely.
Get the counseling you need. Invest in that.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna need the tools to make this thing work.
Got you. Well, coming back now, so I hear you loud and clear. Your partner helps you plan, they hold you accountable.
Right.
Alwyn, for you, that partner, what does that partner do that enhances you, that helps you achieve your personal success?
A whole new perspective.
Perspective.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, I am my own individual, and sometimes I see something from my point of view, and then when I say it, no, this is something that we had to work through. She brings a whole new perspective, and I appreciate it and I want it. But sometimes she hears something, gets angry automatically, and then jumps at me, and I'm like, babe, I want to hear you. I am listening to you. Talk to me. And then we've learned how to communicate even better through that. So her perspective, when she brings her perspective, is actually very necessary for me to hear that. Because sometimes I don't see it, not sometimes, a lot of times I don't see how she sees it. So when I say, babe, what do you think about this? And she put a whole new spin on it. And then she'll see a situation and she'll see something that I completely did not see. Sometimes I still can't see, but I just trust her because when
you believe she has your best interests at heart.
Right.
And there's something that I know she's better at me, better than me.
And just accept that.
Yeah. So when she says certain stuff, sometimes she don't realize how quickly I accept it and I move on. She's still trying to say her point. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of move on from that.
I've
already.
agreed. Moving on. I like it. Folks, logistics of dating and relationships. As I said, we've been talking with Alwyn and Crystal Thorpe, the hosts of Totally Thorpe, the YouTube sensation, focusing on money and marriage.
Right.
But unfortunately, we are coming to the last few minutes of the show, and I have some due diligence that I have to give. First, recap. The thing is, we spoke a lot about marriage, and I think I'll get the cosign from both of my guests today, is that everything we spoke about in marriage applies to every level of relationship, because the marriage doesn't start the day you get married. It's not the day of the wedding that the marriage starts. The marriage is an extension of the relationship from the day the relationship started, and it's just a continuation of those principles that you put in place and the betterment of those principles.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So learning the rules, learning the boundaries, learning the vulnerability. So everything we've spoken about can be applied right out the gate.
Exactly.
You don't have to wait on a wedding to apply these principles.
Correct.
Yes.
Find a real friend, learn to be vulnerable with them, be honest, have tough conversations, set boundaries, establish your unique rules of your relationship, plan together, hold each other accountable, share perspective, and of course be open to listening to the other person. Just because you think you have something to say doesn't mean the other person doesn't have anything to add. Folks, it is amazing. Remember, go over to YouTube. Of course, you need to follow the Bridge 99 FM. That's a given. But also on YouTube, you need to go ahead and follow Totally Thorpe. Where can they find you on social media?
Instagram is the same thing, Totally Thorpe.
Totally Thorpe on Instagram. So check them out on Totally Thorpe. And remember, you can tune in to Levels and Medz every Tuesday at our new day, Tuesday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. here on the Bridge 99 FM. Remember, you can watch the Bridge online at thebridge99fm.com or through our mobile app in the Android Play Store or Apple App Store. Of course, it's been my pleasure being your host, Jeffrey Azan, here on the Bridge 99 FM. Levels and Medz for next level living, next level thinking. As always, have a great day and don't stop leveling up.